Exactly. Oh, yeah. So my boss says we will clap first because we might not clap after. So as you can see, I come on stage with 100 gadgets in my hand, right? A timer for me to try and stay on time, a little thing to advance the presentation, a small thing in the back. How many of you have, oh, thank you, I'm an old man. So how many of you have an iPhone or an Android phone in your pockets? Get them out, show them to everybody. Keep them up, please. I want you to think about the moment when you got that little device. I call them the little beasts, right? And think about that first time when you were like, wow, look at that. You know, I can do this and I can do that. Do you remember that? Only, what, 3, 4, 2 years ago? That's it? First iPhone was 4 years ago? And think about the phone the first mobile phone that you bought. I guarantee you it was that big, right? It was black and white screen. It just didn't work, basically. Even further, let me challenge you a little. I mean, you're Hungarian, I'm Egyptian, so you probably used one of those, have you? Who has used one of those? Okay, remember, you were actually creating sparks, right? So you would do like this and it would go, right? And you hate those guys with a 0 in their number because, you know, if he has 2 zeros, it's like, what are we talking about? It's not worth calling him. You wrote down every number. And what I find amazing is how we human beings who have lived that past can take some of that amazing cool stuff that we have today on the internet for granted, right? We look at it and we say, yeah, cool. I mean, Patricia was guiding us to the event today, and when the broadband network connecting Google Maps to the network disconnected for a few seconds, she goes like, it's not working. You know, it's becoming such an integral part of our life that, oh, by the way, guys, I have a lot of videos and we need audio on the computer. I forgot to say that. So you have time, life will go on. Okay, so it's amazing how human beings just take all of that for granted. Now think of the world we're living in, right? Just 10 years ago, if you wanted to know something 10, 12 years ago, you had to go to a library, go through books, you know, or at best go to a directory or a yellow pages or whatever. Look at the world we live in today, right? You ask any question that you want, you will get the answer in a fraction of a second, right? Look at the world we live in today where millions and millions, actually billions of people are putting videos on YouTube and reviewing them on little mobile devices. You know, I get amazed every time. We tend to forget it. When you play around with something like Google Earth, where you have images of the entire world, the ocean and the moon and Mars and everything at your fingertips, entirely a free product, right? Where all of that is at your fingertips. And sometimes we're still not impressed. Now, I am Egyptian. I am very impressed with everything that you give me. And every time I use those things, I'm still very impressed. As a matter of fact, the image that you have up there is not a picture of this wonderful venue that we are in. It's actually an image from Google Earth, totally real, three-dimensionally rendered and animated for your pleasure. And it's just amazing what we've been going through since we created this amazing World Wide Web. Now that World Wide Web has driven, there are many estimates. Some people say 2 billion users. Some people say if you include mobile, up to 4 billion users use this thing every day, right? And those users are driving a tremendous business, tremendous opportunity for businesses around the world. Businesses can do business across borders, across countries, and they can do them 24 hours a day, and they don't need to be present when business is done. So what I thought I would do today is just take a little bit of time to show you the extent of how far the internet has gone, and then show you how that impacts on your business very quickly. I will use a lot of Google examples, but a lot of non-Google examples, and nothing I will show you today costs you anything, so just go ahead and use them. They're always for free. Now, with all the amazement that we have on the internet, I would like to remind you that the internet is not any different than any other technology that took place in the last 100, 200, 300 years, right? Technology always follows what is known as the technology adoption curve, the S curve. They start slowly, then they ramp up, and then they slow down. And if you take something like a good example like TV, for example, versus the internet, You know, TV, I can guarantee you when TV was invented early in the century, in the 20th century, people looked at it with amazement, just as we look at an Android phone today. They believed it's impossible to get a picture of somebody zoomed over the air to my little device and I can think about it, right? Or I can see it. The difference is it took 100 years for TV to reach the top of the curve. Look at the internet, right? For Google it took 12 years, YouTube and Facebook 5, 6, you know, and iPhones 4 almost, Androids 2.5. And these are things that are now, Androids are being activated at the rate of 400 million devices, 400,000 devices every single day. New smartphones on the web. So the difference really is that the internet is extremely fast. And if there is one message I would like to leave you with today, if you blink for 10 more years, no, if you blink for 1 more year and forget about what's happening on the internet, this is equivalent to 10 years of development of the TV and broadcast industry. This is how fast we're going. And sometimes I wonder why some people are not paying attention to the speed we're going at. So just to give you an idea of not only the speed, but the size of the internet, I'll take you through the 4 main components, 4 killer apps as they call them so far, and just try to show you very quickly how far we've come. So these are the 4 main segments. If you take information, think of image search, right? For you to go and search for an image of your favorite actor or your, you know, or the latest gadget or whatever, you search for that image. Google indexes more than 10 billion images around the world. It ranks them. It understands what you're saying. It understands your language. It translates it into different languages. It does local promotion and porn demotion and lots of very complex algorithms and gives you back the most relevant image, hopefully at the top, within 0.11 seconds, every single time. Yet, because we use it so often, we forget the magic that is behind all of this. Today, there is more than 5 million Hungarians that ask us 20, 30 million questions every week, and every time we will answer within a fraction of a second, right? And when we answer within a fraction of a second, we search books, news, websites, videos, images, scholars, patents, everything, right? Imagine what this world that we're living in is becoming. Take, you know, the type of content that is out there. You now have, I know Hungarians love science and mathematics and so on. I am amazed by TED Talks, the best minds in the world for free. They just give you the speech and it's on the web the next day. You know, you go to things like, you know, iTunes University or the YouTube University, and you can have a course in applied mathematics or game theory for free. All of that is completely democratizing the world of information. Entertainment is another huge one, right? So I think Pong was a milestone, if you ask me. How many of you have ever had a Pong? How many of you still has a Pong? Ha, I have one, right? So, and it's in my little museum of gadgets, and when you look at it, you're going to be amazed because it's such a bulky little thing, and we loved it, right? Now, that moved on, and I think the next milestone was YouTube. I don't know how many of you know that. We get 35 hours of video uploaded to YouTube every minute of every day of every year. So for you to watch 1 minute of upload on YouTube, you need to spend 1.5 days. There is no way you're ever going to watch all of YouTube. There are more than 2 billion playbacks a day. Actually, as a matter of fact, I was talking to our Hungarian team. The top reality show in Hungary, Valavolag or something like that, yeah. The finale of the program got viewed by 2.35 million people, okay, and this guy got viewed by 250 million people.
Johnny, that really hurts. No, Daddy bit me. And that really hurt, Johnny, and it's still hurting.
I don't like Charlie, but seriously, I mean, something about this video caught the attention of everybody. 150 million times, right? As a matter of fact, with those numbers, YouTube today, in terms of viewership, some of the popular videos in Hungary are viewed more than 10 million times, right? Which literally makes YouTube today by far the largest global video destination on earth, bigger than any global network, CNN and everything included, but also number 2 or 3 in terms of video viewership everywhere in the world, almost, right? Maybe some number 4 or 5 in some countries, but almost everywhere. In Hungary, we're number 2, as Eric was saying, even before we launched YouTube.hu, right? So this is a big statement. Now, it becomes very interesting when you think of communications, because the beginning of communications on the web, the killer app, the first killer app that made the web was email. The first reason people went to the web was email, then instant messaging was very big. Nowadays, Twitter is just taking the world by storm. There are more than 200 million Twitters around the world. They check their, 50%, 40-something% of them will check their tweets daily. And they send more than 1 billion tweets around the world, right? And just before we move to social, actually, there is the serious side of the web, which to me was amazing during the Egyptian revolution. So I met with a lot of the leaders of the Egyptian revolution, and many of them told me, it was okay when they barricaded us in Tahrir Square. It was okay when they started to throw gas grenades at us. It was okay when they started to even use live ammunition at us. But when they cut Twitter, we got really upset. Okay? And I'm amazed by this, because they said we felt disconnected from the world. We felt alone, right? And one of the things that Google did at the time, because we so believe in freedom of information, is we built a tool over 2 days, literally, that was called Speak to Tweet, where you literally call a phone number and leave a message, and it will turn into a tweet that gets sent to Egyptians. Another very interesting use was Facebook, and how Facebook as a social network was used to start the very first engagements of the Egyptians to get together in Tahrir Square on the 25th of January. And when you think about it, when you ask them, they will say, we used Facebook to organize the meeting, we used Twitter to communicate, and then we used YouTube to tell the world our story. You'll be surprised to know that when the day the internet was switched back on, our uploads of videos on YouTube grew more than 100%. And the usage of YouTube ever since is more than 4 or 5 times bigger than it ever used to be. On social, I think all of you know how big social is becoming, more than 1 billion social network users in the world, Facebook being the leader at 600 million. There is one place where 600 million people will meet. This is very, very enhancing for my limited social skills. So with this size of the internet, I think the other thing that is very amazing about humans is how sometimes we always are pessimistic, right? So we don't appreciate what we have, we underappreciate the value of what we have sometimes, and we underestimate what can happen in the future, right? So there is that famous quotation from the US Patent Office chairman in 1899, where he said, everything that can be invented has been invented, we might as well shut down the patent office. And he was wrong, I guess, right? Now, people will underestimate that. I think a good example is to look at electricity, for example. People were amazed by electricity when the light bulb came out in 1879. To them, that was the edge of innovation. When the electric fan came out in 1902, they were happier. Vacuum cleaners were very popular in 1905. This thing was 45 kilograms heavy, and housewives loved it. They were like, wow, I'll carry it, no problem. And then electric toaster was the big hit in America in 1912. And when you think about it, more than 200 years later, the real reinvention of electricity should happen with green energy. It hasn't happened yet. And this just tells you that more than 200 years later, we're not done innovating around electricity. Now take that and think about the web. And what I'm going to show you might be a little interesting, might be a little eye-opening. My first time in Mountain View, our headquarters in the US, we had that big screen that showed Google searches across the world on a map. This is Sergey Brin, our co-founder, talking about that.
Here you can see
map.
around the world how people are using Google, and every one of those rising dots represents probably about 20, 30 searches or something like that. And they're labeled by color right now, by language. So you can see here we are in the US, and they're all coming up red. There we are in Monterey, hopefully I can get it right. You can see that Japan is busy at night, right there. We have Tokyo coming in Japanese. There's a lot of activity in China. There's a lot of activity in India. There's some in the Middle East, the little pockets. And Europe, which is right now in the middle of the day, is going really strong with a whole wide variety of languages.
So when you look at that image, basically every pulse, every time something fires up across the world, you get one of those little pixels, and we add them all up by language, and it's amazing. You know, for us, it makes us feel great about how often people use Google. But think about that. You know, another way to represent it really is this work by the Internet Mapping Project, which basically shows all the little nodes on the web. Billions, literally billions of them, right? We're going to IP6 because we're running out of IPs, right? Billions of them, every one of them firing every now and then, and all of them really working as one single machine, right? So think about it this way. This is the single machine that humans have ever invented that has never failed. Yeah, some node here and there may fail, but the machine is always running, which is unbelievably amazing. And when you think about it, you know, those flashes across hundreds of millions of devices is similar to what other machine? Can you guess? One other machine that does exactly that? I'm going to stay quiet for a second more. Okay, somebody's saying your brain, which is absolutely correct, right? So as a matter of fact, the only other machine on Earth that does that is your brain, with billions or trillions of neurons firing for me to do this speech for you, you know, to move my hand or to open my eyes or whatever, right? And the internet, in a way, if you add all of the nodes on the web today and how they are interconnected, the nerves between them, which we call IP protocols, are basically in the magnitude of 1.5 to 2 human brains, okay? With a lot of storage capacity, by the way, a big memory. And you know, one of the interesting trends for you to understand where this internet is going is now, if this is behaving as a brain, why don't we give it some senses, right? So it is thought, by the way, that by the year 2050, there will be more computing power on the internet than the combined computing power of human brains. So if you're around, remember me then. So we're giving that brain, that big brain senses, and it's happening very fast. It's one of the things we're very excited about. Let me take them one by one. That internet today can see, because every one of your phone cameras, of your phones has a camera in it, and this is what we can do with it.
To you?
Not bad.
It's amazing when you think about it, right? Goggles will recognize where you are. It will recognize pictures of famous artists, logos, advertising, monuments, places, everything. It will just recognize them and tell you, you know, this is, you know, this painting at that museum. And if there is something that it can do with it, like solve the puzzle, it will solve it, right? And the reason, by the way, is because as in our human sight, the sight does not happen in the eyes. It doesn't happen at the camera. It happens in the cloud. It happens in the brain. So what we do is we take that image and we send it to hundreds of thousands of servers that can process it and compare it and tell you what it is. Site is very exciting. I think we have a goggles stand outside for people to look at, so go ahead and play with it. It's a lot of fun. I'm very, very impressed by hearing. So those devices have a microphone and they can hear.
Thanks for checking out Google Mobile app. Let me show you what Zap can do. Pictures of the Golden Gate Bridge at sunset. Cool, right? Google search results just by talking into your phone. After you start Google Mobile app, just lift the iPhone to your ear, wait for the beep, and speak. How big is a giant squid? Google Mobile app uses the phone's motion to know when to start recording. And when you're done speaking, it automatically does a Google search. See? No buttons, no typing.
So I actually, most of the time, I'm traveling or walking through an airport, and I really do use that, not only for search, but also for dictation. So responding to my SMSs or emails or whatever, you know, when you come out of an aeroplane and you get those 7 SMSs, call me urgently, I need you now, you know, where are you, and all of that. And normally what I do is, in an airport, we'll call you when I'm alive and so on, and I just speak into the phone and it understands, right? And this is not a test in the lab. This is used by hundreds of thousands of people every day. And once again, the processing of the speech happens in the brain. It's sent to the cloud. The other one I'm really, really impressed with, and Google is very excited about, is language skills. So one of the barriers in the world today is how many languages we speak, and I understand that Hungarian is a very, very difficult language. And when you think about all the languages on the internet, the Google mission is really to make the world's information accessible for everybody. And today you have all the Hungarian information, perhaps the English information accessible by you, but you may not have the German or the Arabic or the Russian or whatever, right? And so we actually have a technology that uses a very, very sophisticated machine learning code that allows us to translate and improve human translation. And an example here is from Marina, my colleague in Russia, where she has her out-of-office reply, a message in English and a message in Russian. And just to check if Google Translate works, I clicked on the translate this message. And as you can see, her translation down there, good afternoon, I was out of the office and I can respond with a delay. In case of need to call, cell, time difference is -3 hours, right? Not bad. I can understand exactly what she's talking about. Try it out. Go to Google Translate. And you know, it actually sounds a little bit like a Russian speaking English, which is quite interesting for me. So you know, we translate more than 200 million documents a day. This is the scale at which translation is going, and I think it's going to change the world completely. So with all of that, you put it all together. I would have loved to show you examples of all of them, but in favor of time, perhaps I can share them with you later. You know, put all of that together and then start to think about my third most amazing human response that I get sometimes, where people sometimes tell me the internet is not ready. Okay, I'm still you know, going to focus on advertising on TV or billboards, and I'm not going to include the internet in my you know, in my portfolio of or my media mix because it's not ready. And you know, I always remember the last emperor of Germany when early in the century, in the 20th century, he said, "I believe in the horse. The car is just a temporary phenomenon, right? I believe in TV. You know, the internet is just a temporary phenomena." I get that quite often. So I think that gets rid of this. So I showed you the consumer side of the internet. Let's then go and talk in the second half of the session around the business. What does that mean to your business? And I have, unfortunately, I get to choose every time from around 17 or 18 trends that you need to be aware of. And I try to match them to the things I feel are most important for the country I'm going to. But it's important to understand how this evolves, right? So let's go back to the technology adoption curve. For every media type technology, and the internet is a media in a way, you go through 4 stages. You develop the technology, okay? So you develop the printing press, for example, you create an innovation that allows you to print. Then you develop the content. You start to find all those books that you use the printing press to produce. When you produce enough of them, you get the users, right? And when you get the users, you get a medium where you can advertise and communicate, right? So a newspaper becomes very, very prominent almost 150 or 100 years after the printing press is invented, and then, you know, then it's a prime medium for advertising, right? Now, the internet is now just entering, believe it or not, with all the success that the internet has had so far in advertising. Perhaps it reaches 10 to 20% of the total ad market in any country, and you know, it's now just starting to really develop. And one thing I would like to leave you with before I leave that curve is that people still advertise on radio and print and TV today, okay? There is never a time where you're going to, where somebody's going to come to tell you, look, stop advertising in newspapers, TV is enough, or stop advertising on brochures because radio is here, right? Those things continue, but they serve a different purpose, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the purpose at the end of my presentation. But brand leaders always take notice. They take notice of the changing media, and they adopt their technology and their communication methods accordingly, right? So think of Coca-Cola, I think, are a fantastic brand leader. When there was printing press, they had a black and white brochure. When there was, you know, color printing, they added color. When there was TV, they moved on from black and white TV to color TV to HD TV and so on, and they advertised in different ways that fit the time. Now, what I would like you to do, I'm going to play one of those TV commercials, and I will urge you to think. If you advertise your product today in that way, will anybody believe in you? Perhaps your grandmother, but anybody else. Okay, so think of that. This is...
King-size Coca-Cola gives you that refreshing new feeling. King-size Coca-Cola gives you that refreshing new feeling. Refreshing new feeling. Refreshing new feeling. Coke in the King has more for you. Coke in the King's your best buy, too. Coke in the King's the great big value. King-size Coke. Yes, people would sing, go for Coke in the King. Because even after your first long drink, there's still lots more than you think.
How many of you would think that Coca-Cola is a fantastically cool brand if they played that ad today on TV? Raise your hands. Okay? Two of the guys that are older than I am. Okay, very good. So this is exactly how my kids think of you when you advertise only on the traditional media, right? To them, this is black and white. So I think the message I want to leave you with is somehow you need to start adding more to the media mix. And there are 3 trends I will want you to think about. As I said, there are 17 I would love to share with you, and perhaps we can have another opportunity to do that. And those 3 trends to me are defining. You know, when Coca-Cola moved from print ads to radio ads, they had to add audio, right? They couldn't print anything on the radio. When they moved from radio to TV, they had to get an image, right? A movie, okay? And these, in my view, are the defining 3 trends for how you switch from only the traditional media to traditional plus online. And my favorite of them is that marketing is becoming mathematical, right? I think most of you will like that. So all of you are aware of the idea of the wisdom of the crowds, right? If enough people are looking at something or interested in something or searching for something, then it means that this thing is important. There is a trend that is forming. We get billions of people every day searching for things, right? They tell us exactly, and they tell the whole world, we are interested in something, right? When Osama bin Laden was shot, the searches for Osama bin Laden shot up 1,000,000%, right? 1,000,000% up in the 2 hours where the news came out, right? So we have a product that takes all the knowledge we get from all of those searches. This product is totally free on the web, called Insights for Search, that basically takes all that knowledge and gives it to you so you understand really what's going on. I'll give you a quick video of how this product works.
Google Insights for Search shows you what people are searching for, where they're searching, and when. You can spot trends and find out what people around the world are interested in. For example, where is surfing most popular? Using Google Insights for Search, we can see that Australia, New Zealand, and Portugal top the list. On the global map, Australia is the darkest, with the highest popularity for the search term surf. Click City, and Honolulu, Sydney, and Perth top the list. You can compare searches from different geographic locations. So, when do people in Australia and the United States search for ski? As you might expect, searches peak during the winter. But since these countries experience winter at opposite times of the year, searches for ski in one country are at a high, while searches in the other country are at a low. You can see forecasted data that extrapolates from historical trends. The category filter lets you exclude searches for things like water skiing that don't relate to snow skiing. Google Insights for Search is great for visualizing how awareness of something new grows over time. Twitter is an example of a phenomenon that has taken off quickly. You can see its growth since 2004 on the graph and watch how awareness of Twitter has grown throughout the world. Or simply keep an eye on the most popular search terms. Select the news filter and you can see the most recent rising news searches. You can even add a gadget to your iGoogle homepage so that you always get the latest information you want delivered to you. Try it out. See what the world is searching for with Google Insights for Search.
So seeing what the world is searching for, to me, this is the best thing ever, right? You can really understand. You don't have to guess anymore, right? And we use that for some fun applications. There are some nice things you can do. For example, I was very impressed in the Eurovision 2009 when basically we took the number of searches people were doing for the different songs and we calculated exactly who's going to be the winner, right? So before the results were announced, we said this guy is going to be the winner, and even better, we said he's going to be winning by X% of the votes. We missed only by 1 percentage points. Right? In my view, I would have definitely liked the Estonia song playing in the background. I don't know if you can see it, to win. I would have definitely appreciated that. But then there are more serious uses, right? If you're a brand manager or a product owner, I'm using here examples all from the same company, so I use different products from P&G. You can compare different brands. You can compare here Pampers to Gillette to whatever, but you can also compare to your competitors' brands, right? You can see the interest and the forecasted interest, and you can realize if there is a problem, if people are less interested in your product after a certain campaign or more interested in a competitor's product after a certain campaign. You can see which part of the world, if you have a global brand, that this is happening, and we can go down to the IP level, which city or even part of the city. You can see the rising trends, very, very important, In your category, what are people more interested in? Are they interested in advertising coupons, or are they interested in a certain chemical feature in your shampoo or whatever, which gets you to tune your message to what they want to hear next. As a brand manager, you can then go to search or use some of the more sophisticated tools that we have to realize, okay, so when they ask for those rising trends, am I present? Okay, am I present when they ask for shampoo? Am I present when they ask for damaged hair? Am I present when they asked for, color treatment, right? And as you can see here, that was very early when we communicated with P&G. They were not present. They realized there was a big gap. Google can tell you exactly how many times, in which cities, in which countries, people are asking for that category while you're present or not, and you can plan your marketing strategy around that. It gets more serious, so we did some analysis around the economic crisis in 2008, starting with for example, the automobile industry of the US, which almost went bankrupt, and a lot of people said it's because of the economic crisis. It wasn't. As you can see, the reason here is because people were searching for SUV, fuel economy. This is what consumers were interested for, while the auto industry was manufacturing trucks and big vans. Food industry did not die during the economic crisis. It's only that people switched from the orange category of luxury gourmet restaurants to family restaurants. And, housing, even in the middle of the housing bubble, did not stop. People still lived in houses. They just moved more from buying to rental. And I know a real estate developer in my city, in Dubai, that switched his strategy from selling houses to leasing houses, and they came out of the crisis with flying colors. So this is a trend that you have to be aware of. You don't need to guess your campaigns anymore, and I think our team locally can help you a lot with Insights for Search. Another trend, whether you like it or not, is that marketing is becoming global. Okay, so I'll show you an ad, Evian ad. I don't know how many of you know this ad. Raise your hand. Yeah.
the hip hip, hoppy, you don't stop the rocket to the bang bang. Boogie said up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat.
Now what you hear is not a test, I'm rocking to the beat. And me, the groove, and the friends will try to move your feet. See, I am Wonder Mike and I like to say hello.
So when they showed this ad for the first time, they showed it on TV only in France, and then they took it onto YouTube and put it on their YouTube channel, and they never played it on TV elsewhere at that time. And to their surprise and ours, oops, I wanted to show you that, but the animations are failing me, so I'll just tell you the story. To their surprise and ours, the US was the highest, the most popular country where they played that ad. Okay, so people on YouTube were so excited about the ad in the US that it completely reshaped their marketing strategy, right? We realized that globalization is becoming very important. So is there a way we can go back 2 slides, guys, if you don't mind? That's why I wanted to use my Mac. If you don't, it's okay. So if you go through that globalization, you realize that there are so many opportunities for a country like Hungary to export to the rest of the European Union, right? Any product that you can sell in Hungary today, you can sell everywhere in the European Union. And by fine-tuning your marketing strategy, you can capture that German or Austrian consumer who is looking for a specific, for a specific product at a specific point in time. I would urge you to go and Google the words export advisor. If you can do that, you'll find a lot of tools that will help you take your product at a very low cost and sell it to the rest of the world. One more. Okay, forget it. It's good. So the other trend that I want to talk about is blended creativity. Now, a lot of people remember the internet as banner ads, okay? Very, very uncreative. We've moved on, okay? And because the internet is moving very, very fast, we are now in the stage where creativity on the internet, I would tend to believe, is much, much higher than anywhere else, any other media, anywhere in the world. So I'm going to show you a couple of concepts. One is blended and one is creativity. On creativity, let me show you, I don't like the movie, by the way, The Expendables. Has anybody seen The Expendables? Yeah? Did you like it? Keep your hand up if you liked it. Okay, a few liked it. Good. You liked it? Oh, man. So anyway, that movie, this was their YouTube channel. Anybody in the room has a YouTube channel? No? Very interesting concept, yes? So a very interesting concept to combine all your videos in one place. This is the YouTube channel of The Expendables.
Sly, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about your new movie, The Expendables, here on YouTube. Now, you play a mercenary in this movie, Barney Ross. Is this your most badass role yet?
Barney's definitely a badass, and he's a natural leader who's never backed down from a fight in his life.
So what is The Expendables about?
Well, it's about a group of mercenaries on a mission to overthrow this ruthless dictator, and it seems like everyone is out to get them. And you know, they may not be able to win this fight because everyone is just trying to...
What is that?
Don't forget the sheriff.
So the amount of engagement that you can create on the web today with the prominence of internet video is tremendous. So can we lower the volume? That's good. Thank you. So it's tremendous. When you think about it, not only do you get the same video capability, but you also get the ability to have that interaction, that element of surprise, because nobody expected that when they went to the channel. And of course, don't forget to share, right? And I can guarantee you, everybody who went to the channel marketed the movie to 10 other friends. Hundreds sometimes. Oh, this is super cool. If you read some of the comments on the channel, you know, this is super cool for everybody. Now, The limit, I have, 10 favorites maybe I can give to Edina to share with everybody, but sometimes you just get surprised by how creative you can become and how cheap this is. A YouTube channel can be free or can be nothing, compared to your marketing budget. And when you start to do those things, you start to get into a totally different, part of the creativity. The other side of creativity is when I started to talk about the technology adoption curve, is blending, okay? Now, one major difference between the way we planned our media advertising spend in the last few centuries and today is that we split our budget in the past, okay? So in the past you said, I'm going to put some money in TV, some money in in media, in print, some money in billboards, and you basically said 5% here, 20% there, 40% here, and I'm done, okay? That doesn't work in the new world, because in the new world, people have the ability to take action when you advertise to them. So we were surprised the first time in 2006 when Kellogg's ran their first, Special K campaign, and we started to realize a spike in search. So when they ran it on TV, you get a clear spike in search. People are interested to know more, right? A better example is the example on top, where Pontiac started to advertise their four-wheel sedan, and every time in red, every time they ran the commercial on TV, in blue, people went to search, right? People went to understand more about that cool car. And surprisingly, the #1 search result was what? Honda, right? So every time they ran a TV campaign, 80% of the people ended up on the Honda website and probably ended up making a choice between a Honda and a Pontiac, right? And so what happens today is it's not about putting 10% here and 40% there. You actually have to blend them. You have to bring them together in a way where they work together, right? So you take your traditional media components, you understand how this is going to reflect online, and you catch people as they land online, right? So you run a TV campaign, you expect that people will do a search, and so you run a search campaign next to it, right? You run a very cool commercial, you expect that people will search for it on YouTube, you put it in high definition on a channel on YouTube. You run a radio commercial, you expect people to mobile search, so you have to blend and literally move people from one place to the other, right? And the idea now is you need to look for efficiency in your budget spending so that you get the maximum number of actions at the end, people ending up with your products. And even though a little old, one of my favorite examples of that is a BA commercial, okay? BA basically used Google Earth, one of my most favorite products ever, and what they did is they combined multiple elements. They ran a TV campaign that I will show you now that talks about BA and Google Earth because people use Google Earth when they're planning for their travel. It got a certain behavior when they started to catch people on the web through banner ads and search campaigns. So if you go and search for that BA campaign, you get something to tell you, click here. And when you click here, you get a Google Earth that actually works like the ad. So every time you ask for a destination, it will show you the price of your trip on BA in a cloud. That level of engagement, I think, was fantastic.
British Airways World Offers is now on. September the 26th at ba.com.
So with that, I will leave you with two messages. One is the internet is not a temporary phenomenon, right? It moves extremely fast. If you blink for a year, you've missed 10 years of development. And I hope when you come back next year, we will show you even more amazing innovations. And I hope you will not have missed them. I think that's the whole idea. My main call when I meet with customers is that a lot of the business today in the world is happening on the internet, right? So you need to start blending it, just like you have part of your interest in print, billboards, TV, you need to have part of your interest there, but blend it in a way so that they work together, right? When you do that, I'm hoping that you will hopefully get a very, very effective way not only to communicate to customers, but also to measure what's going on, and hopefully you will really appreciate the tools that we have as much as I do. The other message I leave you with is I actually never expected to see all of you in one room. We've been very, very interested in Hungary for a very long time. We finally have a team in here, and this team is very, very committed. And I'm really delighted that we have few seats that are empty. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. I think it's a very interesting day for everybody, and I hope you welcome us again, and hopefully we will help you in the next year to deliver on your results. Thank you very much.